Hey there friends, Dana here, otherwise known as Dana Spirit Butterfly. I'm a spirit channel and here to deliver to you in a not so long video is an energy forecast. When we talk about energy, all things are energy before they are matter. We are multi-layered. There's a lot more going on than just your thoughts and just your actions and just your emotional experiencing. There's also a whole plethora of other energetics out there that you can learn about, and if that interests you, then please check out my website, www.danaspiritbutterfly, that's D-A-N-A spiritbutterfly.com. There is a whole lot of resources there for you. And so this is an energy forecast that I do once a month on the lunar cycle to respect the sacred feminine and the variety of energetics that come associated with the feminine frequency. The feminine frequency, of course, doesn't just influence women, it influences all of us because we are in relationships with all things. And so as I express myself in feminine ways, the masculine is always alongside in some way, shape or form, because the two are a part of our seamless reality in physical expression. And so it's useful to learn about such things. Today we're talking about the lunar cycle, which essentially has relationships with things like shadow, with the unknown, things that may be hidden from us, but also because this hidden energy, whether you acknowledge it or not, does impact us. And its impact is seamlessly connected to the fact that there is solar frequency or energy that comes from the sun. So, stand in the sun, you've got a shade or a shadow. The two always come together in some way, shape or form. And you might ask yourself, where is my shadow? If I stand in the most brilliant of light, do I have one? The answer is, of course you do. We all do. And shadow is not something to be afraid of, but it is something that often we do associate with fearful things because they are unknown, uncertain, and sometimes they create chaos in our lives. And so this energy forecast, cyclic, 25th of October, it covers until the 24th of November. And during this period of time, we have a new moon in Scorpio, we have a full moon in Taurus, and we have a ending the new moon or heading into a new moon in Sagittarius. We also have another number of other astrological alignments that are impactful to you. We also have 2 eclipses. And so the new moon is also associated with solar eclipse, which is essentially where the energetics of shadow and light start to play a little bit more obviously in the foreground. So we start to notice things that maybe we didn't notice before that are standing almost obviously in front of us, and sometimes that can be a bit confronting. And so Spirit is assuring me that we are all safe and well, that this moon cycle will be beneficial for everybody, but it is the end of the year, a time period where a lot of us are thinking about success and what it means and how this might have shown up in your life and how things may not have actually gone according to the plans that you had. And this process of recalibration, of looking backwards in order to decide how am I going to invest my energy, is a part of the experiencing of the human. It's a part of your power, is to be in this dialogue of self. And this month will offer us a lot of opportunity to deepen the dialogue. Scorpio being a very deep, very focused on self sign. And that's not to say that all of you will just suddenly focus on yourself and be only about that. We are also relationship beings who need relationships. And so as you dive into your deeper well of wisdom in the inner sense, you'll also experience a new relational experience in the outer sense. And so as you change the inner world, so too does the outer world start to look differently. And that's essentially what this cycle is about. It's about lasting change that supports you on a deeper level, that allows you to move forwards in a way that starts the new year in 2023 with greater clarity than ever. And we've been shedding as a collective, we've been shedding a lot of the old programs. And for some of you, you've been very resistant to move the old programs. The old programs specifically around where do I live, how do I live, what do I eat, how do I exercise, the types of people I want to associate with. These have always been ongoing dialogues anyway, but the last few years have specifically asked us to dive even further into this conversation. And this month will be no different to that. Also, there's a lot of movement in the field at the moment. There are a lot of people traveling, and there's a lot of people heading into planning to travel. And that raises up a lot of fears for some people, a lot of anxieties that previously weren't present there pre-COVID. And so this whole experiencing at the moment is sensitive for many people, and there's going to be a lot of sensitivity in this month's experiencing. We want to leave you with a few messages. One is that you are safe and well in your experience, and keep things simple. Sometimes that might just be that you focus on making sure that you're getting the food that you need, you're getting the sunlight that you need, you're getting outside, you're getting sleep, and that your environmental factors are essentially conducive to your well-being. And this also, I hope, is becoming obvious to you, is actually a part of the wellness paradigm that we are all dialoguing with and have been for some time, because cancer, AIDS, all of these types of illnesses, social diseases, they have been prevalent for some time, and they carry with them a significant amount of fear. Fear of, how am I going to die? And as a medium, I have a new association with this idea of death than I had previously. And for those of you who don't know, I wasn't a medium or conscious of my mediumship abilities when I was a child. It's something that I stumbled across later in life. And as I did, it really revolutionized my appreciation for the decay and for the destruction and for the dismantling of old things and the rediscovering of new. And I also get assurances from the other side, and I'll explain why in a minute. They're coming through today. Getting assurances on the other side that everything that's happening at the moment was predestined. There's a certain amount from the collective level, I want to emphasize that, from the collective level, the collective consciousness is moving in a direction that was predictable. It was needed. It is needed. There are conversations that needed to happen in the 80s and 90s and the noughties that weren't being addressed, and now they are being discussed in some pockets of society that they weren't before. And so things like food appreciation, where does this energy energetically come from? These are really important parts of our future. The understanding that the energetic environment you put yourself in is conducive to your well-being or can dismantle your well-being depending upon your own relationship with that. And so these are dialogues that we inspire you, Spirit inspires you to get in contact with. Without those conversations, you don't expand, you don't explore your energy, and your energy stunts and you end up with more shadow. So, the Day of the Dead, Halloween, Beltane, Samhain, these may be words that are familiar or unfamiliar to you, but Halloween most people know about. Halloween, the Day of the Dead, they're actually not really the same thing, although they are related and they are celebrated around the same time. And so at the end of this month, October, we will be celebrating Halloween, at least here in Australia. It actually is an extension of All Hallows Eve, a time period where individuals saw that the veil between the physical plane and the non-physical plane, so where the dead were, was thinnest. And so there was this belief that there would be doorways open and that ghouls and ghosts would travel more easily across the plane and scare us. And so this actually comes from a legacy. It's celebrated, it's understood across many countries, not all of them. And so it's a time period where, because collectively there's an appreciation for this being true, it kind of is. And so now is a really good time to seek out a medium if you'd like to commune with your deceased loved ones over the other side, because the veil is thinner, but so too can you also communicate with them more directly yourself. And so I did mention that Halloween is different to the Day of the Dead. And the reason why I want to emphasize that is because not all cultures have the same appreciation towards the deceased as others. And so the Day of the Dead is typically celebrated in South America around this time of the year. And it is a celebration of ancestors that have passed And so quite often what families will do is that they'll visit their ancestral graves, or they'll light a candle and dedicate some time, put an offering on an altar to their ancestors to entice them down to commune and connect with them. And so it's actually quite a sweet time to give respect and pay respect to those who came before us, those who without their existence we wouldn't exist here in physical form. And so these associations, we mention that because polarized reality, being in the physical flesh, we do have this thing called masculine, feminine, black and white, up and down, light and shadow. We also have dead and live. I was going to say undead, different thing, isn't it? So these types of energies, they exist and they are real, they are true. And we have associations with these types of things that are meaningful and do impact us. But it depends on where you are, right? So as we said before, Halloween, a lot of people have an association of negativity, of scary things, or even they've just dismantled any attachment to it whatsoever, and they just see it as an excuse to have a party and dress up and eat a lot of sugar. Whatever your association with, our emphasis here is that there's all shapes and sizes, or attachments and detachments from these types of things. Energetically, there's a lot of energy on the planet that makes it easier for you to be in connection with deceased loved ones, but also to be sensitive to spirit generally. And so we want to say that this period of the collective cycle is about trusting that the sense experience that you're having is beyond you, that there's a lot more to this than you actually know personally, and to let go of a belief system that says that you're alone, that you're disconnected, and that whatever it is that you're experiencing in your life at the moment is without meaning. Because I assure you that even if you're safely encased in your own house alone and not in conversation with someone actively, you are in conversation with something external to you in some way, shape, or form. You do have impact. There are people in your life that are influenced by you. And the best approach is always simplicity, is to come back to, why am I here? What is my purpose? What do I want to communicate? How do I relate to others? And what is important to me? And to navigate that in a conversation that deepens and enriches your own life. Spirit's reminding me before, I was reading before, and we were mentioning before about how a lot of people assume that their relationships are just going to be there, and they don't take time and space out to cultivate energy, to invest time and space into their relationships. And we want to say that this is an ideal time for you to start that, partially because Venus just turned direct once again, and its spiral as it travels around the sun, and relationships very much is at the front at the moment. And so we would like to leave you with this message. Spend some time this month reaching out to a relationship or two of yours that is meaningful to you, and create some space and time to cultivate some magic in between. And it doesn't matter what it is, but what matters is that you take the time, that you're deliberate about it, and that it is of meaning to you. So with that, we will, as always, give the information down in the video about where these time movements are with the solar and lunar frequencies, and also with the eclipses that are here. We also just like to remind you that if you'd like to learn more about spirit, learn more about psychic development, I do teach this, and we have a psychic development circle. The next opportunity is in November, and then again in January next year. If you are a woman in possession of a womb, you're also invited to join us for a Sacred Sister Soul Circle in December. Our theme is success and what that means to you. So kisses. I hope that you can make it. Check out my website, www.danaspiritbutterfly, that's D-A-N-A, spiritbutterfly.com. I would love to read for you. Just click the book now button, and you can check out more about my products and services there. So peace be with you until our next cycle. See you.